the biggest changes is now upvoting. You can now vote, and then your vote sort of stays there. Actually, it should stay there, but I guess it doesn't work. But I will say, if you vote here, the vote stays on here. So looks like I just found a bug live, live on air.
It's Issues with Brian.
Hey friends, B Dougie back again, and actually Issues with Brian, so you can call me Brian. Talking more about hot OpenSauced.pizza. We have made lots of changes, which I've already disclosed already in previous videos. But now what I'm getting at is we have hot OpenSauced.repos. We have a new change, and this new change is actually a new PR that came in from Shamim. Shamim, shout out to all the work you've been doing. You've definitely been really consistent in the project, and I'm hoping you're learning a lot in how to contribute to open source as we've been reviewing your code. So appreciate you a ton. But Shamim's changes are now live. So here is what it's going to look like. So we went from the sort of choice of doing grid to list cards to now just doing list cards just by itself. I think I had the idea of like being able to give you multiple views, mainly because we didn't really have a lot of context and a lot of data to share. So now that we have context and data to share, we don't really need to have that sort of swap views for how to list. I don't know. This is not really providing much value. It's just kind of reorganizing the data differently. And also the data is way different because this is the image. But that's besides the point. So we have this new PR that's open. This will be merged hopefully in the next day or so. We've reviewed some code, which I'll talk about, that needs to get fixed. But that's how open source works. We actually try to review the code. Shout out to the triage team who's been helping out. And if you're interested in joining the triage team, just leave a comment below or join us in the Discord as well. Happy to have you join that. But the biggest changes is now upvoting. You can now vote, and then your vote sort of stays there. Actually, it should stay there, but I guess it doesn't work. But I will say, if you vote here, the vote stays on here. So looks like I just found a bug live, live on air. But with that being said, I think this is actually pretty much ready to go. Some small little nitpicks that I sort of called out so far, but I did want to point out some cool things that are done in this, which is the hover effect, all done within Tailwind. So real quick, I'm gonna try to find out where this is. Yeah, so this little hover effect where you scale to 105%, that's what this is. That's what's doing in this. And I actually had to stop and look this up. So as we're sort of like scaling, it actually shoves everything around from it. So all built in the Tailwind. We didn't have to do any sort of custom CSS to make that work. I do see, I don't know why this is, other images is not rendering. It's interesting. But that's a GitHub thing and not an us thing. Also, kind of weird that this I guess that kind of makes sense, because if someone contributed and they're no longer a GitHub user, then it just shows at 404. So honestly, we should actually account for that, because apparently some contributors don't have GitHub accounts anymore. That is weird. I've actually never seen that. Just discovered that live on the air. But now what I'm getting at is that Shamim's PR is now open, ready to go. If you do happen to catch any PRs, feel free to help out with reviews, leave comments. All feedback is valid. What we've actually been doing as well is some of the feedback, it's just a little more scope creeping. So even though it's valid issues and bugs that we're finding, what I've been pushing back on is actually opening up the issue. So if you happen to find something on the project that is buggy inside of a PR that we found, if it's unrelated, what we've been doing is we've been actually opening up bugs. And all these bugs are actually created because of PR reviews. So as we go through, we actually found out things like the avatars are basically broken. Search box looks like there was when you search, the sort of Z index doesn't really respect almost anything, so that needs to get fixed. And then some other stuff that we found is like things like the sometimes the missing login flow for the voting logic that was actually brought up as an opportunity to design something better. But what I'm getting at is that we have been tracking this 3.0 launch milestone, and the milestone has grown a little bit because of bugs. But I do want to point out that almost every single thing is assigned So if anybody wants to figure out whatever screen, what design we should use for if you have no votes, what to do with that, there's a issue open for that. And then we have the thing that I just showed, a lot of Z-index stuff that we have. Definitely check that out. And then, looks like this is what I just opened up. So this is one of the issues I was mentioning. We want to make the max width of the screen. Well, we just want to have a max width. Currently, what's happening is we don't have a max width that respects the screen. So this is actually fixed on the main branch, but the nav items are now shoved all the way to the right. So the goal here is to keep that within the parameters of the screen. So speaking of bugs, we got a lot of them. As I mentioned before I hit start on this recording, is that we're going to continue to work on bugs, and we're going to continue to find some. So if you're looking for your good first issue, somewhere to sort of get your feet wet and making some open source contributions, we would love to have you. Again, find the Discord link below, as well as feel free to drop a comment. And with that, this has been Issues with Brian.
It's